Before we get into the video, shout out to our sponsors Subside clothing brand. Subside is a new, up-and-coming clothing brand established in Bristol that is looking to add something different with their clean designs that celebrate their roots. You can find the link to all their social medias in the description of this video. From the Terrace Podcast and Subside clothing brand, it's a match made in heaven. Support the boys, support the grind, shop Subside. Hello and welcome back to the From the Terrace Podcast and another edition of Champ Talk. It has been a while, Regan. This is the second time I'm doing the intro, but we all know there hasn't been an upload for about a week, maybe two. There's only about a week, isn't it? It's just there's been a lot of games. Bill's been on the sofa, eating mince pies, drinking the Baileys. It's all been getting to his head a little bit, and he's been falling asleep while Regan asks to record. I put my hands up. I am the one at fault here, but we are back. And this is a Christmas edition of the From the Terrace podcast. We're sporting the Christmas jumpers. He's got the Christmas hat. He's in a very festive room. Santa is behind him, making sure that Regan is naughty and not nice. I mean nice and not naughty. We know that he's going to have some naughty selections because that is what we're doing today. We're doing a championship team of the season so far, and I've got a feeling we're going to have some disagreements along the way. Regan, let's get straight into it. Goalkeepers. I have already heard what you want to say, but repeat it for the viewers. Who are you going in goal for your championship team this season so far?
I mean, you know there's going to be disagreements because we've got a different goalkeeper. So unless you're some sort of like Mystic Meg, then I don't know what you're on about. But my goalkeeper is Freddie Woodman from Swansea, and you didn't give me a chance to explain like quickly why. So I'll quickly go into it now because you said, all right. But the reason I chose him is because, like you said, even though people say he's a young talent, whatever, and he like you said, he'll get to a point where he's not going to be considered young talent anymore. But he's still in his probably like second full season really in high tier football because he had last season Swansea as well. He has a worse defence in front of him, arguably, from last season in Swansea. Yet he's only kept one less clean sheet this season where he has last season. He's got the fourth highest save percentage in the league, but when you compare it to just how many shots he's faced, it's not as good as other top keepers. But that being said, he has made more saves than David Raya, Bettinelli and Tim Krul and players and goalies around him. But so that's why I've chosen him. Also because he's from Warlingham, so up the Croydon boys.
Oh, fair enough. You can't really argue with stats like that. And don't get me wrong, he's a good goalkeeper. Like you did mention what I said earlier. Then I did say, but he's one of these players who I feel like he's gonna suffer if he doesn't sort out now. Like, like continuous loan spells, and you get these players who end up. And I'd like to see him reach his full potential because there's an England under-21 goalkeeper and as a youth goalkeeper, he was brilliant and he was the penalty-saving king, wasn't he, Freddie Woodman? And he's clearly a good goalkeeper because Swansea put trust in him and they've conceded the least goals in the league. But for my selection, I feel like I'm going to lose out on this one now that you've thrown the stats at me. I was going to go for Marcus Bettinelli. Now, I know he's someone close to your heart, Regan. The Fulham loanee at Borough. I just think the way Borough have gone, their foundations, they've only conceded 15 goals this season. And Marcus Bettinelli, it feels like every time I watch highlights or watch Borough, he's making a big save. The defence has been brilliant as well. But let's be honest, Warnock, although he gets his team very organised, Borough's team, like we've said, although decent, isn't the best on paper. So I feel like he's getting them to overachieve. And that means that he's not exactly got a defence that's going to give away no chances completely. Good defence, but I think Bettinelli's been a big part of that. He gives them a confidence. And Borough have struggled for a good goalkeeper since they let Darren Randolph go. I feel like they have really struggled in that department. And there was the young keeper, I think was his name Pears? Pears or something?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and he struggled, and they had a couple of other keepers, and it just wasn't really working. And I think since they got Bettinelli in, it was exactly what they needed to help their defensive line. And we know Bettinelli in Championship is one of the best goalkeepers. Just from he's won promotions, we know what he's capable of. So I was going to go Marcus Bettinelli. We've got to come to a conclusion. I know your Championship team this season, when we did it about 10 weeks ago, when we did the little five-a-side, you put Bettinelli as your keeper.
Yeah, and the reason I said that was one of the main reasons that Middlesbrough had at the time conceded the least amount of goals in the league. But obviously Swansea now have conceded less than them. which is probably one of the main reasons why I didn't select him. Also, the reason I chose Bettinelli was he obviously had a lack of confidence to start off the season because of how he just got thrown out of the door of Fulham. And no, don't get me wrong. I believe everything you said is right. He's a fantastic goalkeeper, but I just feel the start of the season, you've got the most clean sheets in the league, and you've got more saves than the goalkeepers around you. I feel like I have to say Freddie Woodman and stand my ground on that one.
I'm happy to go over it. It's just I'm a bit worried because as we see, we get into the defensive line. There's a couple of little swans in the back for me, so it could be a Swansea-heavy side. This, but I'm happy to concede Freddie Woodman. The stats don't lie. He is technically the best goalkeeper in the Championship at the moment. Although I'd like to see, sorry about that. I'd like to see in the future whether David Raya overtakes him, because David Raya, we know, missed the first quite a few games of the season, and Brentford conceded a few goals in those first few games. I reckon if you go from the game since David Raya's been in the league, that David Raya is the best keeper in the league, but he's not. Can you hear that?
Yes.
So annoying. Right. Anyway, sorry for that inconvenience. Regan, we are back, and we've decided we're going to put Freddie Woodman in goal. Freddie Woodman is in there. So we're going on to the defence, and I said it could be Swans heavy. I believe it's going to be. You say your back four first. I'll say my back four, and I'm sure there'll be a few agreements either way.
Okay, yeah. So my back four, I've actually gone for strict positions here. I've gone right back, two centre backs, and left back.
Yeah.
My right back I've gone for Max Aarons for Norwich. My two centre backs are the two we said earlier on in the year of Paddy McNair and Ben Cabango. And my left back I've gone for Harry Toffolo at Huddersfield.
Okay, there's some interesting picks there. I've gone for right back, and I think I actually can't be beaten on this right back position. I think he has to be in. I'm not even going to say Connor Roberts. The fullbacks at Swansea have been ridiculous in terms of the providing assists this season, and they're also part of a defence that is the best defence in the league. I think Connor Roberts can't be argued with. I've also got Ben Cabango, so that's one that's going to be in there. That's two Swans already. We've already got three. And then my other players I went for, instead of Paddy McNair, I was tempted to go for him, so I could be between. I went for Christian Kabasele at Watford to get a Watford player in there because they have been solid at the back this season. They've just not really, they've drawn on quite a few games, but they've been solid at the back, to be fair to them. And left back, the best left back in the league, it has to be Rika Henry. I guess he's not. I think Rika Henry sometimes doesn't capture the eye of other fans because you just expect Brentford to have a decent fullback who keeps good. But Rika Henry, I've never seen him drop a performance below 8 out of 10. Unbelievable. So Rika Henry's my left back. I mean, I guess we'll go to right back first. Would you concede Connor Roberts? I mean, you can state your point for Max Aarons, but I think statistically it has to be Connor Roberts.
I mean, the only reason why I didn't put him in is simply because I didn't want to have three Swansea defenders in the team. Because don't get me wrong, Max Aarons has had a brilliant season. He's played every minute so far for Norwich, and I think he's one of the only players to do so. And yeah, he's put in magnificent performances every single week, pretty much. Even when they went on that little dry spell, it's because he didn't have anything else in front of him because everyone else was injured. But yeah, Roberts has been a fantastic player this season. He's good defensively, but it's his attacking threat he brings down the right as well that I don't think you can really ignore that. So I'll concede that as well.
I mean, then we agree on Ben Cabango, so he goes straight into the team. Unfortunately, that is 3 Swansea players in there. I don't think on my side of things there's going to be any more though, so hopefully that's right. Now it's Christian Kabasele versus Paddy McNair. What are we saying?
I'll let you go first on this one.
See, Kabasele is the thing that I've been watching. So Watford have got one of the better defences in the league. They're up there. I think they're equal in goals conceded as Middlesbrough. They've relied very much like Middlesbrough also, to be fair, on their defence being the thing that keeps them together. I feel like Kabasele has done well because he's a player who's not used to the Championship. He's been a Premier League player. And you get these players who drop down from the Premier League, and I don't mean to be a stereotype. You have you get these foreign centre backs sometimes who join in the Premier League and they're happy to play. They're suited to Premier League football, but dropping down to the Championship can be difficult for them. And you see players who go on a complete tangent off their career path. I'm thinking Stoke, Bruno Martins Indy in recent years. those players who were really highly regarded and went on. But Kabasele stuck to it. He's played, I think, pretty much every minute. He's been a mainstay in the defence, and they've conceded barely any goals. And I just think I think it's fair play to him and his attitude to come back and play in the Championship and be part of a defence which is ridiculously strong. And to be honest, their defence was pretty equal. I think it was equal with Swansea before Ben Foster decided to put the ball in his own net twice or something against Huddersfield. So Christian Kabasele, for me, from his attitude to come down to the Championship and still be part of a defence that's solid. And to be honest, if it wasn't for Watford's defence, Watford would be really struggling this season because they've struggled going forward.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. But you can also say the same about Middlesbrough. And the reason I chose Paddy McNair is because the last few seasons when he's been playing, he's played more of a midfield role, pushing up the field and had a bit more offensively going. But I think the way he's adjusted this season to just playing as a centre half under Neil Warnock, and I know you can't really compare Neil Warnock to really any of the managers in the Championship, but Warnock's really brought the best out of Paddy McNair, and it's not just his defensive ability, which has come on leaps and bounds in the past few years, but it's his all-round ability to. I mean, I can't remember. I think I said it when we talked about it last time, but his set pieces as well as a centre back. I know you don't really take that into account, but as a dead ball, I think he's one of the best in the league, especially from his corners, etc. And the same argument with you saying Watford rely heavily on their defence, and they do that. Neil Warnock does that at Middlesbrough as well, and I don't think when we mentioned Paddy McNair a few weeks ago, he's really taken a step back. If anything, even though they conceded a few more goals individually, I think he's got better.
Yeah, and you know what? I've struggled. I think my Kabasele choice was, although I agree with the points I made, they are good points. I feel that it was more trying to shoehorn a Watford player in there, but it feels like they haven't had many outstanding individuals. It's just been a good group performance from Watford, and you could say the same about Borough. But Borough are certainly overachieving, and they've conceded, I think, the same amount of goals as Watford, maybe one more. I need to check that, but I was looking before. And you're right, I had Paddy McNair in my five-a-side team earlier in the season. I think you're right. He hasn't just been part of a defence that is massively overachieving, keeping loads of clean sheets, not conceding many goals, the complete foundation to Middlesbrough's success. He also does have the dead ball scenario as well. So I'm happy to go Paddy McNair in the team. We move on to left back, and it's Harry Toffolo versus Rika Henry. Now, I mean, I'm saying with Rika Henry, pace, good dribbler, good on the ball, can cross the ball, and his defensive recoveries are something I've never seen before. Basically, I rarely ever, and I think Brent fans will agree with this, we have our players who are hyped up. We hype up Pontus Jansson, we hype up Christian Norgard, we hyped up Ben Rama, we hyped up Ivan Toney, we hyped up Watkins. Rika Henry, ever since he's been injury-free, because his first couple of years at Brentford were hit savagely by injury, ever since then, he has played, I think he's missed one league game in the last 2 seasons, Rika Henry. And I can promise you now, even in games, say we lost 3-0, Rika Henry has not dropped the performance below 8 out of 10. He is the best left back in the division. In my eyes, this is something I've never conceded. He is the best left back in the division. There is no competition. Rika Henry should be playing in the Premier League. And to be honest, he's better than half the bloody England left backs are getting in the squad. Rika Henry is a phenomenal footballer. Never says he's got everything about him. The only thing Rika Henry that has going against him is that he's short, so you might be able to pin a ball up against him in the back post, but he's intelligent enough to know how to defend those situations still. So, I mean, Rika Henry, I'll let you make your point on Harry Toffolo, because I understand he's had a great season with Huddersfield, but...
I like your the point you said, which is swaying me towards Rika Henry, is the fact that you said that when you think of Brentford and their outstanding players, you don't think of him. There's many. I mean, I could probably think of like 7 or 8 of them off the top of my head before I name Rika Henry. So I like your point in that, which is probably why I'll concede Harry Toffolo to him. But I might as well talk about Toffolo since I put him in. Defensively, don't get me wrong, he's not tremendous by any stretch of the imagination, but he's very, very good offensively, and he's a very versatile defender. He can play further up the pitch as well, and he's got the most assists for a defender so far this season. And for the style that Huddersfield are trying to play now, I think that he's a big, even though he doesn't fill up the stat sheet, but I think he's a big role in that, in just his ball movement as well. I think, hang on, my dog scratched at my door, if you can hear that. I think I've lost my train of thought. Yeah, I just think the versatility he brings and just the ball movement he has is brilliant. But like you said, besides the game at Wembley, Rika Henry's put in a very good performance ever since he's really put on a Brentford shirt.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Toffler. I think the Huddersfield system's really suited him as well. He's a player that's very comfortable on the ball, and he has been had an outstanding season. But yeah, I think it has to be Rika Henry. So that's our team so far. We've got Freddie Woodman in net, Connor Roberts, Ben Cabango, Paddy McNair, and Rika Henry as the back four. Don't worry, Regan, we've had loads of distractions already. We will keep going through. It's Christmas time. We're with the family.
If he's here, I'm going to get him in here.
And as we know, the family are annoying as hell. Is Max going to be brought onto the FTT podcast?
No, he's just staring at me and from the other side of the door, so no.
So Max doesn't want to be a guest. We should get him on Zoom, Regan. We'll get the little third thing up. No,
if he scratches the door, I'm going to be livid because he's literally laying down to sleep now.
He's not interested. Right, anyway, we will move on to the midfield. We've gone for a 4-4-2 formation, so we can go for midfielders. This one, Regan, is less maybe as rigid as the defence. So I had a right back, two centre backs, left back. Now I've got a lot of people who could be freedom in midfield. Do you know what I mean? Like it was harder to pick right mid, left mid, two centre midfielders. You go with yours first, though. Who are your four midfielders?
I picked my four, and it turns out it actually fits really well into a 4-1-2-1-2. I've got two wide players, an attacking midfielder and a defensive one. My defensive one, I've gone for Jefferson Lerma of Bournemouth. My right mid, which I think is a shoe-in, is Emi Buendia. My left mid, and please let me have him, I'm going to put Tyrus Campbell in there. And my cam, I'm going to put Michael Elise at Reading.
Okay, that's interesting. Tyrus Campbell does look somewhat of a shoehorn into that left mid position. We will see. Emi Buendia goes straight in the team. Got him. And then I've gone for three different players, which is quite interesting. I've gone for Ajaria from Reading, but Elise is a very sound shout as well. I've gone for Scott Sinclair from Preston, and I've gone for Junior Stanislas from Bournemouth. That's my midfield four. Now we've gone on Buendia. I mean, who do we want to put up against each other next? Do we want to do Ajaria versus Elise, two Reading players? Because it means we'd definitely get a Reading player in there, and I think it's only fair.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I mean, you make your point for Elise first.
I mean, I'm more devastated the fact you've got two left mids up against Tyrus Campbell. But I'll talk about Elise. For someone, I think the day we're recording this, he's just turned 19 years old, Elise, and he only played, I think, like 1,000 minutes of like league football really before this season, and to come out this season the way he has done, he's got the most assists in the league. He can play down the centre, he can play like on the left, he can play on the right. I think he's played centre forward once alongside Lucas Schell when he got injured. He replaced him as more of a number 10. I think he's been absolutely sensational. It might just be because it's his individual performance and how far he's come, but I think it's going to be a bit of a crime to have the player with the most assists in the league, and it's probably the most improved player in the league so far this season, not in the team, I think is wrong, but I'd like to see you make your case.
You know what? I somewhat wrongly let Elise skip my mind when I was thinking of Reading, but so I'm probably going to concede on this, but I just give the points over Ajaria, a player that we know from his Liverpool past. He was one of these players, but was he actually going to be ever good enough? You know, one of those players who gets that tag. And I think he is. I think he shows a calmness on the ball. I think he's one of these players with swagger. He reminds me a lot of maybe a more attacking version. He reminds me a bit of Romain Sawyers and a bit of Abire Eze at the moment. He's one of these players he glides past people. He's got a great weight of pass. He's a great dribbler. I'd just say the only thing he probably does need to contribute to more, although he's still upped it this season, He needs to contribute to more goals. I'd say still. Elise is doing that leaps and bounds this season, which is probably why I'm going to concede to Elise. But I think in terms of calmness on the ball and progression of a footballer and proving what some doubters wrong, I think Ovie Ajara has had a really good start to the season, and fair play to him. And to be honest, Ajara was one of those players that I always thought, when I saw maybe a link to Brentford, I thought, oh, no, I wouldn't have him, definitely not. But I'd probably take him now. So he's been very good this season, but I think I'm going to have to concede to Elise. The top assist in the league, he's hit the ground running, he's been unbelievable. And for someone that age, I think we have to go Elise. So it's Emi Buendia and Elise in midfield so far. I mean, do you think it's fair then to put the two Bournemouth players up against each other, and then we'll do Sinclair versus Campbell?
Yeah, I mean that's the only thing.
I know they're not the same sort of type of player as Jefferson Lerma and Junior Stanislas. It's quite hard to argue, but I mean, I guess that's we're going to have to do it. I mean, if you state your case for Jefferson Lerma.
I think when I think of Jefferson Lerma, even in the Prem last year, when I think of Jefferson Lerma, especially in this league, he is the typical Championship defender that you want. He plays the role that, kind of like what Rika Henry is at Brentford. I don't think when you think of Bournemouth players, he's not really one of the first players you think of on the top of your head. And I think he's strong. He's really versatile. I think he's played centre back quite a few times. My connection's unstable. I've just come up, but I'll continue anyway. He's a very solid defender. He's got an absolute rocket on him. Well, I think maybe this season or last season, I can't remember when, he's got an absolute beauty. His passing to switch the play from the midfield is brilliant. And I think he's already been suspended once or twice this season for yellow cards because some of the tackles he puts in are absolutely brilliant. And
well, they got me.
In comparison to how many are bad and how many are good, they're kind of like this. But I just think the role he plays for Bournemouth in that midfield is probably a really big reason as to why they haven't conceded as much as they have. I know you point to their defence and whatever, but I think that Jefferson Lerma's role goes very underrated. That might just be a case that he should go in an underrated team more than team of the season so far. But I think he's definitely worth a mention.
Yeah, my case for Junior Stanislas is I think in the Premier League when Bournemouth are doing well, a player that didn't get the plaudits really, but you did. Stanislas used to pop up with goals that would be very important for Bournemouth quite often. He's doing it again this season. Sometimes Stanislas doesn't have the biggest performances, but he always seems to contribute, which I think is very important, especially when you're in a team like Bournemouth at the moment, it's about, at the moment, we know the slug of the Championship, especially this season, is just about getting results. And if you can have a player who pops up and gets these important goals for you, it really helps. He's got 6 goals, 2 assists this season. That's second in Bournemouth, so he's just behind Solanke. So Bournemouth are sharing their goals around a lot. They've scored quite a few goals. They're sharing them around. And I just think Stanislas has been a player that has been unsung for some time now, not just this season, but in the Premier League. I think it's more of me giving him a shout out because I think he's a player. But really, would anyone ever mention Stanislas in this sort of conversation? I don't think they would. And I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he goes on to get 12, 13 goals this season. Which, I mean, once you start hitting figures like that, then you have to be considered for one of the better players in the league, and especially into the team of the season. I think he would definitely hit that amount. You never know; he could hit 15 if Bournemouth keep ramping up how they're playing. But yeah, I've gone for Junior Stanislas, but I'm going to say I think the thing that's impressed me the most about Bournemouth this season is their spine, and Jefferson Lerma is a big part of that. So I am happy to concede on Jefferson Lerma. He's happy with that one. To be honest, a player that, like you said, it's like Rika Henry, just passes by your mind. But when you think about it, really, he has been. You know what? I wasn't convinced by him in the Premier League, in all honesty. But this season, I think he's been vital to their core, and the Bournemouth's backbone of their side is very strong, I think, this season. Very strong. The final player, which I think I'm going to find it hard to concede to, is on the left. We're going Tyrus Campbell versus Scott Sinclair. Tyrus Campbell recently got an injury, has put him out for the rest of the season, which made Regan cry a little. He's more of a striker, really, a forward player. but has been known to drift that wide. So we'll allow it for Regan. But I mean, Regan, I guess it's not really you're not really making the point for Tyrus Campbell left mid here. You're just making the point for Tyrus Campbell, aren't you?
I mean, you can make a case because I think through the back end of the last few games, before he got injured, he did end up playing on the left. I mean, he played on the right as well, and he played striker, so you could really put him anywhere. But like you said, this is more just like, please, because I'm not sure if I want him in there or just because I want to say it because we won't mention him probably at all until from now until the end of the season. But I think he's been brilliant so far. Like we said, we talked about him last time when I mentioned him. Last season, he showed signs that he could be the player like he is at the moment. But this season, he's really been one of the top players for Stoke, and you can see just how bad they've missed him already because he's been gone for 3 games and they've only scored 3 goals in those last 3 games. And beforehand, he scored 6 and assisted 7 or something like that, vice versa. And I think that Stoke are really going to miss him, and just for that individual impact that a player brings to a top 6 contending team, I think that shows just how good he actually is.
Really rate Tyrus Campbell, one of the better young players in the division, who's actually living up to the billing and isn't just sitting here being told they're good. He is scoring goals, getting assists, 6 goals, 5 assists this season. Can't complain with that. But like we said, he has got injured now, and I think the left mid position, although you can state a case for it, is a little dodgy. Someone who's a natural left-sided player, Scott Sinclair, 7 goals this season. And you talk about importance to a team. Scott Sinclair, in these games where Preston, the games where Preston have started, they have the occasional wipe the floor of a team game. It is all because of Scott Sinclair. He is a player with immense quality. We've seen him in the Championship, we've seen him in the Premier League, we've seen him in Scotland for Celtic. He is a guy that scores goals, he runs past people. Scott Sinclair is a very talented footballer, and to be honest, Preston are lucky to have him, I think. And I think just in terms of contribution I think that team has, like we said, like Alex nailed, they're very robust. They're a team who you know what you're going to get from them a lot of the time, although the start of this season has been dodgy. You know the way they're going to play. Scott Sinclair just adds that little bit of extra something that makes them win a game rather than draw it, I think, in my opinion. Scott Sinclair is the extra quality. They have a lot of players who know what they're doing. They work hard. But in terms of quality, I think Preston sometimes lack in the final third a bit of quality. We mentioned a couple of weeks ago that they are a very good attacking force, but I think that's as a unit. But if you're in a game where they're struggling, Scott Sinclair is the man. He is the man for quality. He is the man who's opening up games. He's scored 7 goals already this season. He's enough player, I think, would probably go on to get just shy of 15 goals. I mean, you can't argue that from the wing. And I just think I think he's been their best player this season. And for me, he's been the best wide player probably in the league this season. I mean, I don't know I know you don't want to concede on Tyrese, but
I mean, I disagree that I think Buendia is the best wide player so
I wouldn't
far.
say Buendia has played wide at points, but he also is more naturally a number 10 now, isn't he? So.
That's true, yeah. But I can't disagree with Scott Sinclair because the past few seasons, I think he's been struggling to find his home really. Because I know he's been tossed around quite a few clubs, and he's trying to really find himself, his game, and a team that would really accept him and turn him into a player that from a really early age we saw, and many fans saw and go, oh, okay, this could be a player right here. And I think he's found that at Preston now, and I think he's turning into a player that, like you said, come the end of the season, I think we could all look on and be like, okay, he's one of the best in the league. Even though I'm not going to accept that he's not going to be in the team because he is in my team and he's in my heart.
Tyrese can be the one-man bench.
Yeah, I'll take that. And
but the injury list of the Championship team this season so far,
unable to play.
Yeah.
But yeah, Scott Sinclair's been in a league that we haven't seen in quite a few seasons. So, and we've got to give recognition for that. So we'll put him in as well.
That's our midfield made up then. It is Emi Buendia, Michael Elise, Jefferson Lerma and Scott Sinclair is our midfield. Regan, you've done well. You've only conceded 1 there, really, although we did both agree on Buendia. Now, strike forces. I feel like this literally can't be a disagreement, although Regan's going to somehow manage it. Your two strikers, Regan.
Look, one of them's dead set. One of them is Ivan Toney, which I hate, but I'm gonna have to
It's
admit.
true. It's facts. It's facts.
But the three I struggle choosing between Adam Armstrong, who I've ultimately gone for, but also Lucas Shaw and Kiefer Moore, because Kiefer. I'll start off with Kiefer Moore because I know I didn't choose him, but I think this is a great season for him to start with, and this might just be another case of me giving him recognition because he's not your ideal championship striker where it's his aerial ability as well, and to get I think he's got I think minus Lucas Shaw, he's got the best goal to game or something like that, just because he hasn't played too much, but he pops up with goals in the right minutes. So I've got to give credit for that. Lucas Shaw as well. On paper, he's had a better season so far than Adam Armstrong because he's only played like 14 games and he's got only like 3 less goals or something like that. But I've got to give credit. But Adam Armstrong, he's been brilliant. So his ability to pick goals out of nothing is some of the best I've seen. And with he doesn't even have Bradley Dack in his team to provide any service to him yet. But Ben Brereton and Harvey Elliott are really bringing the best out of him. And hopefully, when Dak comes in, those 4 as a unit, that could be one of the best attacking 4 in this league.
I mean, I get your point on Kiefer Moore. I do agree, but in terms of his own ability as well, in terms of his performances and what he's brought to Cardiff, he's been great this season. You mentioned Lucas Shaw as well, great this season. And he's a player I've always rated, but maybe has struggled for consistency. But feel like he's starting to hit it now for Reading. 11 goals this season, can't argue that either. But once again, my strike force is Ivan Toney and Adam Armstrong, just because those two's numbers this season, you just can't argue with. You just can't. You look on the score sheet and Ivan Toney scores and Adam Armstrong scores. It feels like every week. I think Tony's top with 16 goals and 3 assists. Adam Armstrong's 15 goals, 3 assists. Unbelievable goal-to-game ratios. You just can't argue with it. Two very different strikers. Ivan Toney has been an absolute menace in the box for Brentford, working hard from the front, leading by example. He captained them when we beat Reading on the weekend beforehand. He's been everything, and he has hit the ground running in a new team. You can't argue if Ivan Toney has been the best striker in the Championship this season. Then you go Adam Armstrong, a guy who we knew was starting to hit levels the last couple of seasons where he was scoring in flashes loads of goals and then maybe going off the ball a little. But this season he's hit consistency, 15 goals. He is probably the biggest menace for a Championship defence, I think. Quick, nippy. He's like a Championship Jamie Vardy. He's been unbelievable this season. And if it wasn't for him, Blackburn would be stuffed. So I think in terms of not one man teams, I like Blackburn, but like in terms of one man contributing to a team, I don't think there's anyone bigger in the league than probably Adam Armstrong for Blackburn at the moment. I mean, it's our strike force. There isn't much debate for it. It is those two. Finally, Regan. We've got our team. We've got Freddie Woodman in goal. We've got a back 4 of Connor Roberts, Ben Cabango, Paddy McNair and Rika Henry. A midfield of Buendia, Elise, Lerma and Sinclair, and a strike force of Toney and Armstrong. Who is managing them?
Well, before we had to restart, we kind of accepted who it was going to be. But I said to myself, you know what? If I had to make a case for someone, I'll do it. So I'm going to throw Steve Cooper in the mix just because he's still quite a young manager in this league. He's still learning. He's still got many things to learn. Don't get me wrong, but the way he got his team into the playoffs last season, start off with, brilliant. And the progress he's made this season, he's sorted out that defence, which you and me said at the beginning of the season, as well as many people, that we didn't think would be as good as it was previous season, Mike van der Hoorn, etc. But I can't say that even though individually their players have been good, I've got to give some credit to the manager as well, and I think that he deserves a lot more praise than he gets, because I don't think he gets a lot of praise. And I could see them solidify playoffs easily. And for a team on paper beginning of the season without Rhian Brewster, etc., I was like, maybe not. But this team now, there's not really many standout names, but that manager's really got them together, and that sense of camaraderie at Swansea is dangerous for any team, and I've got to give credit for that. But I think we know who it's going to be.
Yeah. And you know what, Steve Cooper, I think it is fair play because to be honest, I didn't know that I was convinced by the hype of them before pre-season. I think he has been very much helped by his contacts of the young English market and through his time as a youth coach. But he's got those contacts and he's used them brilliantly. Although I think it feels like he's just fallen on them completely. He's made it work for himself and he's built a team, like you said, without any outstanding individuals, although some very good footballers like Connor Roberts, like I mentioned, Andre Ayew in midfield. His name. Grimes, you've got Grimes in midfield. They're brilliant players. But as a unit, they probably have been the best team this season so far as a unit, maybe rivaled by Bournemouth, sorry. But we are going to mention Borough, and that is the manager I think we're going to go for. See, Neil Warnock's done it again. He's done it again. And I mean, he hasn't achieved anything yet. It's midway through the season, but he's got a team that no one thought would be anywhere near the top. Like people, me and Regan said at the start of the season, yeah, Borough will come mid-table because of Neil Warnock. Their team is relegation fodder, or has been. And he's changed them into a team that can easily compete at the top 6. And he's done it again. And that team, it reminds me of what he did at Cardiff. That Cardiff team I thought was absolutely abysmal and going to be near the bottom of the Championship. They were buying League One players who I thought weren't good enough and ended up winning promotion. You never know. He could end up doing the same thing with Borough. And the management, but although it's not a style I like, he's not really a man I particularly like. You can't argue the stats. You just can't argue with him. He is the best manager in the Championship. I just think in terms of getting results in the Championship, mate, he takes you to the Premier League and you're stuffed, but he gets you there. And then he's done a brilliant job. And Borough's team, although me and Regan have said, has got a couple of good. We like Sam Morsey, we like Assombalonga, we like Paddy McNair. They're not a team of brilliant footballers, and they're massively overachieving under Warnock. So he is the manager of that team, and I think he would ruin every single flair player on that side, but he'd probably get Ivan Toney scoring 35 goals, and Cabango McNair wouldn't concede. So there we go. Anyway, we've got that is the Championship team of the season so far. Regan, when we're going to be back? Are we going to be back after, as long as I can? Will we be back after the Boxing Day fixtures? Get a little update on predictions, etc.
I'd say so, yeah, because that Boxing Day is already the halfway point of this Championship season.
Yeah, we'll do so. We'll come back after the Boxing Day fixtures. Then I think we'll give it a couple of games. You've got the games on the 29th and the games on New Year's. We'll probably come back in the new year with another pod and another reaction to how the Championship table's looking up, and we'll get our reactions to how we predicted the table would look before this busy Christmas period. Regan is wincing. I'm smiling. But anyway, that is it. This is a Christmas edition of the From the Terrace podcast, Champ Talk. We hope you all have a brilliant Christmas. Sip that Baileys, stuff your face with chocolate, have a mince pie. I'm going to be eating plenty of turkey and pork. I can't wait for it. And I'll have lots and lots of beer. Anyway, remember to like the video, subscribe to the From the Terrace podcast YouTube channel, leave us a rating on iTunes, follow us on Spotify, and we'll see you in the next Champ Talk.